Hello everybody, this is Sean Crawley, and I'm going to be talking about the Tethys Platform. I know most of you don't know what that is, so that's where we're going to begin. I'm going to type right here, Tethys Platform in Google, just like you might do, and it should be the top result. So, Tethys Platform, as it says here, has been designed to lower the barrier to water resources web app development. Water resources web applications for the 21st century. So Tethys Platform, for a little background, it is a web app development platform, and as it says, it's mainly made for water resource people, which is because the developer of Tethys Platform was a civil engineering water resource student at BYU, a PhD student actually, and so he wanted to make it easier for other water resource people to make web apps that both can access and display data and so forth. Because water resource engineers collect a lot of data, but they're not the only ones collecting data, so many of you could actually maybe benefit from Tethys Platform. I don't think they'd be offended if you're not water resources and wanted to use it. So let me just talk about some of the quick features, and I mostly want to demo them, but Tethys Platform was built on Django. It's powered by Django, so those of you familiar with Django would do well. But that means it has a Python server side. Then the client side, of course, is our web development, JavaScript and HTML and so forth. But with Django, that provides a lot of cool functionality. But Tethys Platform is not just a Django repeat. It includes a lot of additional things packaged with it, such as JavaScript libraries built into it that come already pre-packaged, that use Google Maps, Google Earth, Open Layers, high charts. Some of you might have used some of these. Like Google Maps, we saw with the MapScript project. So that's actually a project that could maybe have been created in Tethys Platform pretty easily. There's high charts as well. Some of you might be familiar with that for charting, kind of like I guess similar to D3 or other charting things. And there's also, one of the main things is Tethys Platform provides, along with these mappings, it provides ways to store map data and to store other data with a PostgreSQL database set up for you with PostGIS, which means you can store like geospatial data, points and polygon map data, and a GeoServer where you can actually store map files, like shape files, and actually load them as web mapping services into your map. Anyway, those are some of the features, but I think it would be better to demo them. Let me jump over here and I'll show you. Actually, I want to go to a different demo place, appsdev.hydroshare.org. So this is another organization that actually wanted to use Tethys. It's a water resource organization, and they install Tethys because Tethys is open source, code's on GitHub and so forth, and you can install it and modify it as you please. But I'll just show you a quick demo of maybe what one of these apps looks like. So this one's called the Snow Inspector, and you see it has a map here, and what you can actually do is you can select, this is for this app, it was developed to be able to select anywhere in the whole world. Let's just choose somewhere, maybe Czech Republic. You can choose any spot in the world, give it a date, which is, this is that today, the 13th? I guess that's tomorrow, but yeah, you can pick any day and a number of days, then click Get Snow. And what it will do is it'll give you the history of snow coverage for however many days you selected. So I selected 100. So this is the snow cover at this point location for the last 100 days. That's pretty cool. So it plots it using high charts. So here's high charts being used. This is Open Layers for the mapping. That's a cool thing, which Tethys made probably quite a bit simpler than it would have been just working from scratch. So what I want to do is I want to show how you could essentially install Tethys and start building your own apps in Tethys. Let's go back to here and we'll do getting started. But we won't actually walk through this, but I'll just show you they have great documentation where you have installation instructions, you have tutorials, you can read about the features and get source code. Yeah, it's on GitHub as well. But I'm going to walk you through. we're going to assume that you've already installed Tethys into your Linux machine. It runs on Linux. So let's assume that you've done that. And now I'm going to open a terminal. Let's clear this. And so let's start up a new terminal. So assuming that you've already installed Tethys, as you walk through the tutorial, it'll teach you that to get into the Tethys terminal environment, you have to run this command, userlib tethys bin activate. And what this does, it activates a Tethys Python environment. So it's really separate and it's, let's see, what's the best way to put it? It makes it so, because Tethys runs with certain Python libraries that have a certain version, and to make sure that those don't conflict with other Python versions you might already have on your machine, it creates this isolated Python environment that Tethys runs in. So anyway, you have to start it up. Now in here you can also, this recognizes Tethys commands. You can start things with Tethys, and I'm going to show you is actually how to create a brand new app. It's really easy. You do Tethys scaffold, and then the name of the folder that you want the app to be stored in. Usually the app's name. Let's call this one test app 2. I think I already have a test app 1. So I'm going to scaffold a test app 2, and it's actually going to make a folder with all the necessary components just based on this folder I'm in. So I'm just in my home folder, so it's going to create it there. So I'll do this. And it's initializing it, and then it wants me to enter a proper name, and it's going to ask me for a couple things, but I'll just do test app 2, and everything else I'm just going to give it defaults. So it says enter version, description, author name, so forth. I just want defaults, and now it's done. We should be able to go in my home right here. Oh, and there it is. Tethys app, test app 2. So it created this folder structure, and to better look at that, I actually want to, and I actually have it up already. Great. So Tethys test app 2. Let's look at it here in PyCharm. So you have all these folders. You can get down into it, and here's really your workspace where you're going to be doing your development right here. You have your Python server-side scripts here. Then you have in your public folder, in your templates, you have your web development side. I guess your client side, where you have some HTML, and these are templates, and you have your CSS and JavaScript. See, so it's already given you the structure and created these files for you, the basic ones that you need. And it's a lot like Angular. I'll try and make some connections. I don't know Angular as well, just from what we've done in class. But you have controllers, and these happen in Python then rather than in JavaScript. And you have actually templates, which are really similar to Angular, and this is mainly based off where they draw from Django, is you have a base template that you want all your pages to look like, and then you can create additional pages that it'll say, like this is the home, it says extends, and this this mustache percent sign, this is the Django directives, kind of like you have your Angular directives, but these are how you do Django directives. And you can say extends, and that means this HTML sheet is going to take everything that's in this one, it's going to extend it, but then I can overwrite things. So it has these different blocks. See this block, app icon, block title. I can use these blocks and overwrite the things in them, or they'll have a lot of empty blocks too. This one create an app content that's empty, app actions, and that's because those were assumed to be the things that are mainly going to change, which is what we have here, app content, app actions. And to show you more what this looks like, let's get into developer mode. If you want to be actually developing and testing this in your local host, you can't just go to your local host. This isn't like just running files normally off your computer where you can then open them in localhost. But I guess, yeah, you have to start the server, and that's like Angular. We're used to doing that, starting the server. So to do that in Tethys, there's actually two things you need to do. You do Tethys as a Docker. Those of you that are familiar with Docker might know even more than me. You start as Docker, and that's where it looks like I already have it running. But that kind of starts up your data store separate servers, because it creates a separate server where you're hosting a geo server, and you're hosting these other servers where you can be storing data and then pulling from them in your app. You have to start those, and then you can do, here's the main command that starts up your actual Tethys server. It's Tethys manage start. So I'm going to do that. Oh, but we're forgetting one thing. So if I refresh here, you should see that here's World War II Explorer. These are apps I've already made, Test App, but we don't see Test App 2, which I just barely created. That's because we haven't, you have to run one command that will kind of incorporate it into your apps library, your Tethys standard installation. And so I'll show you how to do that. Let me just quit the server. So we just created that, and that's in the home folder, and it's in this Tethys app, Test App 2. You have to get into that root folder, and then you actually just run a Python command. If we list, we can see that there's a setup.py. You just have to run that, and that sets it up. So you do Python setup.py, then you actually have to follow it by develop. And so we do that, and it says it installed it, and so forth. And so we should be good now that if we do restart up the server, Tethys manage start, we should be able to refresh and see it loaded in here. Yep, so there it is, Test App 2. So I click on this, and this looks similar, to the other app that I showed you that I demoed. It gives you this framework, and all this that you're seeing, most of this is coming from that base.html. You see there, app navigation, home, jobs, result. These are the things that you are probably going to have repeated, but it's right here, this content, everything you see right here in this white space as well, these buttons down here, these are what usually and I mean, you can change your base and make your base have what you want. It's like maybe I don't want all these snap navigation items, maybe I just want home, maybe I don't even want app navigation items, so let me just delete all those and I'll refresh. See, they're gone, so now I just have home. Anyway, but it's in your home, and these block app content, block app actions, those are blocks that are corresponding to this portion of the page, so this white space and this bar down here. So yeah, now you can start adding your own code in here, and that's just HTML, so I won't talk about that much. You should all be familiar with that. But the one cool thing I want to show is probably these URL maps. So this is kind of how you use controllers in Tethys. You set up these URL maps, which are essentially giving, say, okay, what URL do you want associated with which controller? And so we have see, this one has this is hard to read, this code, but name is home, the URL is testapp2, and then our controller is testapp2.controllers.home. So the name is just, you can kind of call it whatever. The URL though is important. It's what's up here, testapp2. So this page has a controller, and that controller is in testapp2 controllers.home. So I actually go over here to controllers, and there's a home, this home function. So that's referring to a Python function. And what it does is, this one's set up to where it's going to render my testapp2 home.html. It's going to associate this code here with this page, but I can do processing here in Python and then return variables into a context. Like, let me just do a quick thing where I do like a variable name equals my name's Sean. Let's say I want to use that variable now in my HTML, so I pass it in the context, and you pass it as a dictionary key value pair. So the name that I want to be able to access it by in my HTML is by name, and I'll just say, and that corresponds to this name variable. So now it's passing this context, so I should be able to then in my home, because that's where it's passing it to, use this variable, and I'm going to access it by saying name, but you use it in with the Django directives, which are same as the Angular directives, which are the two brackets. So now I can put name right there, and it should say welcome Sean, because now I'm accessing that. Let me go back and, okay, I think it's restarting the server. Yep. So welcome Sean. So now I have this variable that I can use inside that's being passed to my controller. That's pretty surface level, but shows how you can then set up additional controllers with additional pages, and how you can then use Python to have controller functionality and use it in your HTML and on your client side. I hope that helps to get a feel for Tethys. Go learn more. Thank you.